Incredible flavours, even better stories. One pour, 10 minutes. Aussie bourbon lovers sharing bourbon with Australia.
It was almost like a comedy pop.
We are drinking a Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey from New Riff.
Yes. This is their 8-year-old. Ooh, clunk. This is the 8-year-old one. So, from 8-year-old from New Riff, we picked this bottle up at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. People are probably sick of us here saying that stuff, particularly if they're jealous that we went. But this is where we picked it up. The interesting thing, well, there's so many interesting things about New Riff, but here we go. Cheers. New Riff. Oh, it smells great.
Yeah. What's the number one interesting thing about it, Dave?
Number one most interesting thing. Oh, okay, so I started off badly, didn't I?
Well, you said there were some interesting things, so I'm busted to hear them.
You want to know the number one? Well, can I tell you some interesting things that I know?
Yeah.
And maybe can I start with a story because we like telling stories?
Yeah.
Can you guess the first time? Actually, I've only ever been to New Riff Distilling once. Can you imagine what I
wasn't there because
Yes.
This is one that I haven't been to.
And can you imagine what I would have been doing that would take me to a place like New Riff? What kind of a trip I would have been on?
A work trip?
I was on a work trip.
Work trip.
Me and Mihal, my cameraman, or, like the director of photography for the company that we work for, he and I were driving between...
Travel past it.
Yeah.
Did you plan on stopping or did you see it and go, this will be a good stop?
What do you reckon? I'm a pretty good traveller. I knew exactly what I was doing.
You probably planned the trip to actually
this
go
is
past
not
it
what
so you
happened.
could go there.
We were travelling between Cleveland, Ohio and Lexington, Kentucky, and I was like, we're going to drive through Cincinnati. Can we stop? In fact, don't worry, this trip is littered with distillery stops. And he was like, sure, why not? Why don't we stop?
So why'd you pick New Riff?
I've been curious about New Riff for a long time anyway, because I'd heard so much about what they do. And I think I probably got caught up in the thing of lots of people talking about it. I wanted to know what are they
They're pretty
doing.
young. They've only been around since 2014.
Right. And, there are heaps of distilleries would kind of fall into that same category.
Yeah.
New Riff are doing cool stuff. One of my favourite things that I only really recently learned is that, and on the screen that we've got here in front of us, you can see where the little red pin is.
Oh, yeah.
And can you see straight across the car park from it, there's a liquor store there.
Yeah.
That's the Party Sauce. It's like the biggest bottle shop in... I'm probably going to get this stat wrong, but it's the biggest bottle shop or liquor store in Kentucky or something.
Get that stat wrong.
But it's really a big one.
We need a fact checker.
The guys who started New Riff were either worked at or were involved in the Party Sauce and kind of stood looking across the car park and went, do you reckon we could put a distillery in there? And that's what they did.
Fabulous.
But
they do a bit of experimental-y stuff, probably more so than some other people. Or
I think lots of people experiment. I reckon lots of people experiment and don't tell anyone about it. I think basically everyone experiments. I don't know.
Bourbon's one big experiment. Can you tell me, when it says straight bourbon whiskey, what does that mean?
So Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. A question without notice. I think I'm going to get the terminology wrong. Straight bourbon whiskey. I reckon the straight bourbon whiskey is going to be... I think you can't call it straight bourbon whiskey unless it's aged for more than 2 years, I reckon. Or maybe is it more than 4 years? But that you've got...
There's a time limit. There's a time limit.
You can't call it bourbon unless you've met those 6 criteria.
Yep.
Straight bourbon whiskey is something else. And then obviously Kentucky has to come just from Kentucky. Yep.
Yep. And this is 100 proof, this one.
Good one. Thanks for asking.
I didn't know I was stating.
New Riff... No, I'm telling you the answer.
Okay.
All New Riff is bottled in bond. It's like their thing. They said, we're only going to... Everything has to be, as a baseline, has to be bottled in bond. So that's pretty cool. So everything
has to be 100 proof?
Yep. Not just 100 proof, but following all those, I suppose we'll call them ancient rules, the really old school rules. This one's 65% corn, 30% rye, 5% malted barley.
Yeah, that's bourbon. But what's the bottle in bond rules?
We've talked about this in the past. It's about one distilling season, one distillery.
Yeah.
Has to be over... has to be 100%, bottled at 100 proof.
So all their stuff meets all those rules?
Yes, and they're relatively... That's quite stringent, but they definitely... They do all that. That's a thing that they do as a baseline. All of their bourbons... Maybe...
Yeah. And when it says aged 8 years, that means the youngest one in there is 8 years?
Must be 8 years, yep. Yeah. You've asked me so much, I haven't had a chance to even
I know.
get it in.
Let's have a drink and see what it tastes like.
This is a terrible idea that we should do a podcast where I'm supposed to drink it, and you just ask me so many questions I don't even have a chance to.
Well, enjoy your drink and
Yeah,
tell
but
us.
you talk while
I'll talk. Well, the nose is good. I also haven't had a chance to drink it yet. But it looks like it's enjoyable.
It is really good. Wow, I'm getting almost like milk chocolatey something there. That's yum. And like it's one of those, the mouthfeel is one that kind of wraps around your tongue, and I'm kind of getting it at the back of my palate. Yum. Really, really nice. It's funny as well for me because I often will wander around the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and you often end up buying something that's quite different or quite unique.
Yeah, you're always drawn to the different. You taste, and then when something stands out, you buy it.
So I'm trying to get better at this thing of like not just buying something that's different for a weird reason. I'm trying to buy something that's different because it's really standing out and something I know I'm going to want to open and have a crack at.
I agree with you on the chocolate.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're really... It's almost like a dark chocolate. I'm thinking of it as like that, you know, that you can get the dark chocolate lint that's got the chili in it.
Wow.
It's like
I don't think
spicy.
I've ever had that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
there is-
your mum gave it to us once because she loves giving all different chocolates that she doesn't want to eat.
30% rye. I wonder if that would be high rye in terms of the way they call that. Do you reckon 30% is high rye?
I reckon. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, let's
I'm
go
gonna
with
sound
yes.
like an expert here.
We'll call this a high rye mash bill. We're making that up. But
I think that's the heat that I'm getting would be the rye.
front of your palate, you get a little tickle on your palate, tongue. Tip of your tongue is you're getting a little bit of heat from a high rye mash bill.
High rye. Would it have it somewhere on the bottle if we actually check the bottle?
I can see it. It's right there. It says it's over here on the screen there.
you're
65% corn, 30% rye. But yeah, there it is on the back as well.
Yeah.
Lots of transparency. They do love their transparency. And I've heard, maybe one day we can get the New Riff guys on the podcast, but they're
Look, this
amazing
high
at it.
rye, unfiltered bourbon.
Hey, look at that. We got it
See,
right.
I fact checked. I tried to sound like an expert and then I fact checked.
Do you want to do a little? Can I do a quiz? If you swap the rye out for the wheat, what's the wheat and what's the rye? Would you call it a
wheated bourbon?
Yeah, it's a wheated bourbon, but you'd call them flavour grains. You can't swap them in and out. Anyway.
There you go.
All
Sorry,
right,
Dave.
I've got
Don't
an
quiz
easy.
me.
You don't want another because there's one more. There's one that we heard someone talk about this before.
Chill
Chill filtration. This one doesn't have chill filtration.
Yeah, it says in big letters on the front, it says without chill filtration. And chill filtration's when they like make it really cold and then they when
filtration.
chill. But when like you get oils and stuff and they can like stick together, they can get all that out when they chill filter it. Whereas some people have without, like some people pride themselves on the fact that they chill filtrate it, and others pride themselves on the fact that they don't, because they like to leave all those oils and flavours in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, because we've had different people say, no, if you do the right kind of filtration for the right kinds of whiskey, that's the right thing to do. But other people go, no, you want to leave the fat in.
And other people say, no, you should take that out.
Well, it's totally, I think this is the great thing about make your whiskey the way you want to make it, hey?
Yeah, and that's why they're also different and also fabulous.
Yeah, I reckon.
And you have to try all of them.
You have to try all of the whiskies.
Yeah, to find out whether you like chill filtrated ones or not chill filtrated ones.
Yeah, you're making words up now. Filtered, chill filtered, filtrated. What is that?
Okay, chill filtration, it says.
Yeah, but that's... we're not going to go through that.
Don't worry, I'll just make up words.
Yeah, you will. On that very visit to the New Riff the first time, Michal and I both bought a bottle because it was, they had the single barrels and you could do a little flight or, tasting and see what one you like.
What bottle did you buy?
It's that one that's up there. It's mostly empty. I've kind of left. You know how I sometimes will all but empty a bottle? Yeah, single barrel. And then I'll just not drink the last bit so that I don't kill it.
We should compare it after this to see if it's got that chocolate chili flavour.
I'm down for that. Chocolate chili flavour. Is that really what you're getting?
That's what I'm going with. Chocolate chili flavour.
Amazing. I love how you wait until I take a mouthful just to stop everything and you take a mouthful. So there's no way we can possibly fill the silence. It's amazing. What a great team we have.
That's the moment people can pause and have their drink.
They can pause because they were otherwise busy with their mouth doing something.
You got to be comfortable being in silence with people, Dave, and we're comfortable with our listeners. Just take that moment of pause and we all drink it together.
if you hear silence on our podcast, the thing to do is drink on your drive to work. All right. Well, if you're ever in Cincinnati, get your hands on some New Riff. You can't get it in Australia yet. I've been looking for it everywhere. You can't get it here yet. If you're in the US, you should be able to get your hands on it, definitely in Kentucky. But they're really cool bottles. They're doing really cool things, and their bourbon is bloody good, and it's all bottle and bond. Have a crack if you can get your hands on it. You can probably find it in some bars. Probably at Goodwater in Melbourne.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers to New Riff.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you're connected with us on TikTok, Instagram and YouTube, and stay connected with us by clicking subscribe on your favourite podcast app.